Thank you. Jocelyn Treadway, if you are in the audience, and Ruthie Carter, if you guys want to come on up. Oh, okay, I see you. Come on over. While we're doing the transition, we wanted, before we have the high school groups perform for the evening, we thought this would be an appropriate time to honor Mark Linn, and also I would like to honor Laura Glenn this evening as well. So Laura, if you could come forward. I know that you were not prepared for this, but I would like you to come forward anyway. For those of you who don't know, I'm Jenny Marquart. I'm the principal at Parkway North, and as I think most of you do know by now, we had a very eventful spring break trip for our band and orchestra students. And so we want to take some time to honor Mark and Laura for their truly heroic response in what was a very scary situation and could have been a very tragic situation. So Mark, if you want to come on over too. As educators, we dedicate our lives to students, and we, as I said, we had a little celebration in the band room with the band and orchestra members yesterday morning, and I said to them, you know, when you prepare in college to be an educator and you think about how important it is and the things that you do every day, and you know that you're going to influence people's lives. And when we're at school, we spend a lot of time talking about safety, and we do drill after drill after drill, and so we're constantly thinking about the what ifs. But it's gotten me thinking about the life of a band instructor and a marching band director. You spend weekend after weekend getting on a bus, getting off a bus, getting kids here, getting kids there. So much of what you do is transporting kids from one place to another, this performance, that performance. And so it becomes so routine that, that I don't think we ever in a million years think about the need to spring into action and save the lives of every human being who were on a bus. And so on that fateful morning, as the kids were traveling very early on their way down to Orlando to spend the day and then spend the night, leave for the Bahamas the next morning, when obviously something happened with the bus driver and Laura alerting Mark, and then Mark's instincts just took over. And so all through my spring break trip, it would flash in my mind of how different our lives would be if something different had happened that morning. And so when I talked to Mark very, very early that morning, I knew how frightening it must have been, but I also sensed the calm in his voice that he knew that the situation was resolved and a very tragic thing had been averted. So we wanted to honor him tonight in front of parents, in front of some students, and those of you who are 8th graders who are going to be coming up, you will get to know Mr. Linn very well. And so we have our superintendent is here, Dr. Keith Marty, and Beth Feldman from the board, and so I am going to have Mrs. Feldman come to the microphone and say a few words, and then we also have some students and some parents who wanted to say a few words to honor Mark tonight. So, Mrs. Feldman, if you could please come forward.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here tonight. This is just such a really great occasion. I was thinking about what I would be talking about to you guys tonight, and what I was thinking about as an adult, from time to time, you're asked to reflect on a teacher that made a difference in your life. Who was the teacher that made the biggest impact on your life? Was it that particular lesson? Was it that particular study session? Was it that particular this or that particular that? Well, I know that a bus full of kids had the answer to that question burned into their heads last week on the way to Orlando, and I know that the impact that Mr. Linn's actions had on these kids will be with them forever, and I congratulate you.
Okay, and so now we have two of our students who have expressed an interest in saying a few words tonight. So first, Ruthie Carter.
More things could have gone wrong than right the morning of the bus incident. We are so thankful for Mr. Linn's quick reaction and ability to take control of the situation. Because of him and many other adults like Miss Glenn, we avoided what could have been a tragedy. It's hard to think what you would do in that situation, and we all hope that we never face that kind of fear. Mr. Linn and the chaperones not only faced it, but recovered from it in a very professional manner. It's so admirable how Mr. Linn and all the adults were able to calm the students, transition quickly, and continue the trip. They were still able to make this trip a positive experience, and Mr. Linn was still able to lead us in a superior performance despite what had happened earlier. Mr. Linn's ability to perform after the bus scare shows us his dedication to this program, but more importantly, his bravery and courage shows us his commitment and love for his students. Because of him, we have every single band member playing music tonight. Thank you, Mr. Linn, for facing that fear none of us want to face and teaching your students what love and dedication can do.
And now, Joe Treadway.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, sorry. Leave it to the klutzy color guard girl to be the only injury in that bus accident. But thankfully, a little unicorn horn on my forehead was the only injury that was reported when I might not even be standing here today. And of course, you know, being the jokesters we were with my group of friends, after watching several superhero Marvel movies, when we realized that Linn not only stopped the bus, but he did so with Mrs. Glenn's help, without his glasses. There was a nickname that started going around that he was Samuel L. Jackson, the L standing for Linn, of course. But although it was a joke, I think it's safe to say that Mr. Linn, you are, you know, Mr. Linn and Mrs. Glenn, you guys have both been huge parts of my high school life, you know, through marching band and color guard. And you guys, you know, I could always say that you guys were my heroes inside the classroom, and you truly are my heroes inside and outside the classroom. So thank you.
As I was communicating in the hours and days after the accident, one of the parents who has always been supportive continued to communicate, reassure me that even though her daughter had been a little injured, she was fine. And so I thought that it would be appropriate for her to say some words as well. So Terry Treadway, please.
It's hard to believe that it was just 2 weeks ago that my daughter Jocelyn and her friend Sarah were sitting next to each other in the back seat of that bus, holding on to each other and wondering if it was going to tip over. When she called us that night, or that morning, I told my husband two things. I told her I'm glad that she was sitting next to Sarah and that she was with her friend. And I told her that I'm glad that she was with band kids, because band kids, they know how to work together. Band kids, they know how to take care of each other. And they know how to do that because they've been taught how to do that. And so, you know, we see that as parents every day when we watch our kids, and those parents that are coming through, the 8th graders that you just saw play, you'll see that going forward too. You'll see those kids working that way together at band camp, and you'll see it at competition. But I've got to tell you, the last few weeks of my life have just been awesome. You know, we saw the kids on TV, a great picture. And I got to see some great pictures of the Bahamas, and I heard some great stories, and hey, we even got a snow day out of that. How cool is that? You know? But the thing that's even cooler about that is that on Monday my daughter turned 18, and we were all there to see that and celebrate that. And today we are all here, safe and sound, watching an awesome, awesome band concert. So, you know, we all know that today could have been a very, very different situation, and truly, from the bottom of my heart, Mrs. Glenn and Mr. Linn, thank you.
And also another parent, Renee Fredman, who is the president of the band backers.
On behalf of the Parkway North band backers, we would all like to thank Mr. Linn, Mrs. Glenn, for your courage and your strong leadership on March 14th. But beyond that, we would also like to thank you for being heroes to these kids every day. And through your work, your dedication, your efforts, developing an amazing band program at Parkway North. Thank you very much.
I know I've had the pleasure of knowing Laura Glenn and Mark Linn for a very long time. They are two of the most humble people I know. And so I know that this has been very difficult for them to hear such kind and have accolades. But again, I think that as educators, we take our jobs very seriously, and the two of them displayed that in the utmost way on that fateful morning. And so we are very, very appreciative that we are all here and that we can continue to enjoy the school year as we had all planned. And so please, Laura, if you could come forward. We have a small token of appreciation for each of them.
I want to thank everybody, Laura Glenn and my colleagues that were also on the trip, that after this whole thing happened, they were so professional in making sure the kids were safe. We had 128 people on Interstate I-75 sitting in a lane that we had to get off into a safe place. And Andrew LaRose and Ken Rapini and Laura Glenn, they all stepped up and took care of those kids, and had to endure all these things that are going on right now, and so I appreciate all their efforts and help, so thank you to them. I also just want to say thank you for all your support. It's been overwhelming, and there's a reason why conductors stand with their back to the audience, is because you want your kids to shine. And that's what I wanted for our kids, and that's what I want to from this day forward, and all days before that too. Just make sure that they shine, and keep people call me a hero, and it's a hard label for me to wear, because I think that everybody would do something very similar if they were given that chance and choice. And so I'm thankful that things worked out. I have great people that I work with and work for, and so thank you so much, and hope you enjoy the rest of the concert.